Hey everybody, welcome to my second podcast. For those of you who are returning, thank you very much. I did gain, quite a few subscribers, which I didn't expect from my last podcast. And to those of you who are new, welcome. Thank you for choosing to spend some of your time with me today. My name is Bethany. I live in Denver, Colorado with my husband and our 3 cats, Elsa, Bellatrix, and Nala. Likely we'll see them at some point during podcasts, maybe not all of them in one, but definitely one each time, I guarantee it. So, let's go ahead and jump right in. I only have, let's see here, 2 finished objects. Yes, no. Maybe. I think it's only 1 finished object, actually. Sorry, hang on. I am not prepared. So, yeah, 2. I have 2 finished objects. Okay. So the first one is something that was on knitting needles since 2016. And I had it packed away, and I wasn't quite sure how much I had left to do. But it's this heart skull beanie, which is a free pattern on Ravelry. Let's see if I can get any closer. And I really like the hat. It's nice, it's soft, it's squishy, but it is large. I looked at the gauge later, by later I mean recently, and it's supposed to be I think 22 stitches in 4 inches, and I have 19. So it is quite large, and I have a small head I think anyway, so I mean it goes on my head. That's a bonus, right? Like, this is large enough to fit my husband's head, and I think he has a pretty large head. So, I'll just show you real quick what it looks like. This is it. That's how it goes, but it is quite large. I don't know that it's meant to be like a slouchy beanie, but that's what it looks like. So, the pattern is linked to a blog. And that has the written instructions, but the chart itself isn't on the blog anymore, and I know that somebody has posted it in the comments, though, on the actual pattern on Ravelry. So if you're interested, go ahead, check it out. Like I said, it's free, so no harm, no foul, right? When I picked it up, I did only have the decreases left. I looked at it, and I stopped at the point I needed double pointing needles because I didn't want to deal with it, and I didn't for almost 3 years, so... Anyway, there's this hat. It is warm. It's been getting a lot of use. It's chilly in Colorado right now, not as chilly as some other states. It did snow on Monday, though, and you would have seen that in the intro. But in true Colorado fashion, by the time I got out of work, everything on the road was pretty much melted, so it's just been, like, icy the past few days, and that's about it. And then my second finished object, minus ends to weave in, is the virus shawl. And I'm pretty actually happy with how it turned out, which is quite shocking. And I blocked it already. And I'm submitting this to Hannah's Cal for Love Your Stash Cal as well. And Hannah is of the Cozy Cottage Crochet podcast, if you don't know who she is. And if you don't, you need to check her out because she is one of the sweetest human beings I've ever seen. So, but here is the shawl. And I'm pretty happy with it. I did notice that, like, this kind of, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, like, veers a little bit. And I'm not sure what I did. But when I picked it up, I was only about halfway through the first skein, and I only had 2 skeins. So I finished the first one, and then went through the second one, and it worked up very quickly. And I wish that I would have been able to go another skein, but I didn't have a third one, and I don't know that anything from now would match as well. It might, but I wasn't quite sure, and I didn't feel like going to the store. So if I do make this again, which I do want to, what I would do differently is I noticed that when I was picking it up, I wanted to go into the 3rd chain here, coming back, to make it more in line, I guess you could say, with like this side, which is just got it tighter, but I didn't. I just worked all into the chain space, and it kind of bugs me that it's just so different in that way. Maybe that's why it leans a little bit. I'm not really sure, but that is something I would change, doing it again. So otherwise though, I'm really happy with how it blocked. Originally it was just kind of really squished together, and afterward I was worried that after I had pinned it and steam blocked it that it would shrink back more than I wanted it to, because when I had blocked the shawl that I gave to my boss at work, I just feel like it didn't hold as well as I wanted it to, but I don't really remember what it looked like before. I didn't take a before picture, so, you know, whatever. It's just what happens. So anyway, here it is, and I'm also happy that it didn't really melt all of the acrylic together. I didn't weave in the ends yet because I didn't want them popping out during the blocking, and so I'm happy that I can still do that, and it's not going to be a total pain to do. But it held its shape really well. It didn't really spring back that much, and the stitches are much nicer, especially out on the edges. So that's what that looks like. And it's got a nice, lovely drape. I'm very pleased with it. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with it now. Maybe give it to my mom, which was the intended recipient the first time. We'll see how it goes, I guess. So, and then I have 3 whips. The first whip is a Toothless Amigurumi. I had mentioned in my last podcast that my boss wanted to commission a few things from me. It was originally in exchange for a cheesecake that was very time-consuming for her to make, but she's not sure if she can make that now, so she said she's just going to pay me for these. I hope so, because it's going to suck if I just make these and she decides she doesn't want them anymore. I did ask her if she still wants them. She said yes, so I hope so. Otherwise, I don't know what to do with these. So, but anyway, I started on Toothless. This is the pattern. It's by Tiny Alchemy, either on Ravelry or Etsy. And so far, it's going pretty well. I mean, really no issues with the pattern. So, let me get the pieces. Sorry for the plastic noise. She has you start off with the head, which just kind of reminds me of Pac-Man. Except, you know, it's in black, so, oh well. And then you do the mouth. And I really feel like this pink is too bright for the mouth. And I wish I would have gone with a more muted pink. But I'm working from my stash, and not only do I not even, like, I don't know if I even have a pink that would work. I really just don't want to make it again because I'm not in the mood. So, I did read, though, in the comments on the project pages, though, that, like, when people stuffed the head, this little piece kind of popped out. And so I'm thinking that maybe when I work through that part, I'm just going to kind of whip stitch around this edge here so that it's got, like, a little crease and hopefully won't poke out as much when I stuff it. So, fingers crossed. But here's the body. It's got a lot of cat hair on it, and one of my ends popped out, which kind of irritated me, but the stuffing was slightly frustrating because of how it's worked, and there's really no stuffing down here, but it does start roughly right here and goes up. And I don't think I'm going to need much more when I sew it together, which is exciting. I noticed that with some of the amigurumi I abandoned a few years ago, that the stuffing just, I don't know, for settling, it's gone down a lot, and there's really no form to it. So I'm probably not going to be finishing those, and I don't know what I'm going to do with the yarn, but I'll figure out something. Speaking of kitties, here's Elsa again. A lot of you seemed to like her from my last one. She really enjoys being down in the craft room. She gets so excited when I come down to the basement. She like runs to it and does a little trill, which I'm not sure if you heard just now when she came up here, but she gets very excited. She loves being here. Yes, hello. And I think she just knows that I'm recording and just wants to be in my way. Don't chew anything. I'm going to try and not show her the strings. But here is the front foot for Toothless. Oh no, it's not focusing. There's a cat in my way. There you go. Cute little toesies. And then the back legs, yes, I see you. You're beautiful. You already know that, though. And then here is the front leg with fun shaping. So there's that one, and then I have like one of the horns started, and that's it. That's as far as I've gotten on Toothless. It's working with black yarn, and I don't want to work on it in the dark, and that's really all of when I work on it. And our living room upstairs does not have any lighting overhead. All we have is this poor lamp way off in the corner, not near me at all. And sometimes I will use like this little headset that I purchased, but it dies frequently. I have to charge it. It's really irritating, and I'm just not really in the mood. So, you know, there's that. I see you. Yes. And then my second whip is living in this bag. I got it from Mary Smith, or Made by Mary. She has an Etsy store that I'll link below. I don't know that she's making a backpack with this print anymore. I don't know if she has any more of this fabric. But I know that she still has some backpacks like these. Now, to be fair, this is not a project bag. Thank you. I just realized that, yes, I see you. Get out of the way. I realized that when I purchased it, or not when I purchased it, when I got it, that I could not wear it as intended. It is a crossbody bag, and I have extended this the entire way. But I am too fat. It does not look right, so thank you. I love that you just dropped everything. But either way, it's a beautiful bag if you're interested. It's got a lot of, you know, space. You can just use it as a, like, on-the-go project bag. It's got card slots in it. But anyway, that's the wrong zipper. Living in this bag is this hat. So these are the same circular needles that were used to make the heart skull hat. And I wanted to make another beanie because that one was too large, and I didn't really want to do color work again. And now I've decided that, you know, somewhat of cabling is a great idea, which is a terrible idea. And my attention is not consistent, and I'm getting really frustrated. But it is the Clairvoyant beanie. I apologize if you hear the water running. My husband is taking a shower. He's a maintenance tech, and he showers in the evening. But anyway, this is what it is looking like so far. I don't know if you can see it. It's very bright. Let's see if I can cover, maybe. So it's got this pattern working on it, and I had originally done that incorrectly. I was getting really frustrated, and I considered just ripping the whole thing out. I was like, this is why I don't knit, because yes, thank you. It's just what I wanted. Anyway, I hate, like, going back and knitting in any way, shape, or form. It's not as easy as, you know, ripping out in crochet, and I get really frustrated. Thank you. Very easily, so. But I do have this cute little stitch marker. I don't remember where I got it. It was in 2016. You're moving the camera, Elsa. Knock it off. But it's so cute. And it's purple, and it's got flowers, and it makes me happy. So, I mean, that's a little glimmer of hope in the dodgy knitting world that I've decided to dive into again. And when I was knitting in 2016, I was an English knitter. I, you know, threw the yarn with my right hand, and I did just kind of automatically switch to continental after crocheting and holding the yarn in my left hand for so long. But I feel like it's making my tension really tight now, and that makes working the, like, cable portions really difficult, which aren't even full cables. So I'm just a little frustrated, and I don't know that I should work on this all the time, but it's really the only small thing I have to be able to go to work with me right now, so that I don't start a million projects and just keep going. So that's how that's going. And I started that, this week, Monday. So I have not gotten far at all. I'm hoping that when it's done, it's going to be very lovely. It looks very lovely in the pictures. We will see. So, and then my last whip is living in a very large bag. Will you let me grab it? Or are you needing attention? Sorry guys, we're just gonna have a pause here. You done? No. Oh, goodness. Okay. You need to be done now. Now that you've dropped everything everywhere. Yes. Don't touch that. Just leave it alone. Anyway, sorry. The next whip is living in this very large bag. It is a corner-to-corner blanket. And it is a corner-to-corner pattern. Ow. Wow, shaking the camera. Sorry, guys. That I have on my Etsy in case you're interested. I don't have much on my Etsy. I'm trying to clear everything out so I can focus more on like making patterns and things I actually want to make this year. We will see how it goes. But this is what it's going to look like, roughly. So, I realized in 2015 when I started this, because I wanted it done in 2016 for my brother, clearly didn't happen, that I couldn't really work well from the graph. It's very small. I don't want to keep going back and forth. So I did write it out. And if you have a color printer and if you decide to purchase the pattern, which don't feel obligated, but if you love corner to corner and you're interested in Mario, might as well. I color coded it so it helps me a little bit more, but I also did a black and white version for those who don't have color printers. And I have the keys and everything, and if you've never worked corner to corner, it does include links for how to get started with the Crochet Crowd and Mikey. And he also has, you know, information for working from the graph. And the pattern is 131 rows total. When I picked it up, I had gone through rows 24 only. In 2015, I stopped right before the color work. And I almost frogged this whole thing, because when I got to the color work, there is a green and then a lime green. See, I'll try to show you right here. There's like this green right here, and then this lime green. And I just realized I never turned on this light over here. Sorry guys, you're getting like a awkward shadow. Is it even worth turning on? Yeah, because I'm going to show you more yarn. Hold, please. Right, I'm back. And Elsa is still in my way. I don't even know if that's helpful. I just figured, you know, it's better than this awkward shadow being cast everywhere. Anyway, so I'll show you what the blanket looks like thus far. But I highly considered just frogging the whole thing, and then I thought to myself, but Bethany, what are you going to do with all this yarn that has, like, no other purpose? Nothing. The answer is nothing. I will do nothing with it, and it will just sit here. Don't do that, Elsa. You're going to knock stuff over. So this is how far I am. And I'm on I just finished row 46, and by just finished, I mean it was like a week ago when my brother was over and my husband was out of town. We were playing video games, mainly like Mario Party. Did we even play that? No, we played Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and Donkey Kong. But don't, stop. Cats love yarn, in case you didn't know. Anyway, this is how far I am. So the reason I considered just frogging the whole thing is because I was weaving in ends as I go, because my current self at that time was like, I'm going to do myself a favor. I'm going to weave in my ends as I go, so I don't hate myself later. Well, joke was on me because I hated myself sooner. So here we were. But I'm at row like 47 now. So, but I have to be in a certain mood to be able to work on this, because it takes me so long to work across these color rows that have so much change, and they do. They have a lot of change. So I love corner to corner when it's one color, but no, I will never make another one that goes with a bunch of color changes. Maybe a simple, like, heart. Stop it! Stop! Elsa! No! Not the yarn! Sorry. Where was I? Yes. I will never do another one where it's just a bunch of color changes. It's too much for me. I don't have the patience for this. I don't. So that is Koopa Troopa. I'm hoping to get it done this year. It will not be done in time for Hannah's cowl. That was my original goal, but it's just not going to get done. There's been a lot going on at work. My husband has been sick for a week and a half. And you know them when they get sick. So, I love him. I do. I just don't like to hear about it. So, I do have only one acquisition, and it was something that I had purchased last year on December 6th, but everything came from Turkey, and it only got here within the past 2 weeks. And it is t-shirt yarn from pled.dream, although I don't think that's what they are on Etsy. That's what they are on Instagram, though. So if you're interested, go check it out. This is their safari colorway. And my original intent for this yarn was to make a cat bed out of it, and I only got 2 cakes. Not a cat, well, it is a cat bed, but like a cat cave, where it's got like an opening, and then it's like a little tube. I guess just a tube. Not very structured, just to the front. And this is not going to get enough. I did purchase different Bernat yarn in case this didn't work out, and I will just have to use that. But I do like the t-shirt yarn. It's very nice. I'm just too lazy to make my own, quite honestly. And they have super fun prints, and I'm all about super fun prints. And then it was so cute. They included this little cake as well, and it even said gift on it. And I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. If you have any suggestions, I would love to hear it. Maybe like a tiny basket, I'm not sure. And it's just this floral design, very nice and clean. So, we will see. And that's it. So, I do think that I am developing carpal tunnel. I have realized recently at work that my right hand goes somewhat numb, like from my elbow to here. And originally I just kind of Googled it, and it's like, oh, you might be putting too much pressure on your elbow for like extended periods of time. And I was like, great, I'll get up, move around, and it still happened. It wouldn't stop. And I brought it up to my coworker, and I said, you guys, I think I'm developing carpal tunnel. And one just shoots up. She goes, you are. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks for just easing me into it, because I have a strictly desk job. All I do is type all day, and I work in a call center, but I'm not on the phones, and all I do is type all day, every day. There's hardly, like, there are times that I can take a break, but usually then I just browse Ravelry, and so that's not really getting a break. But, you know, obviously my crochet, you know, addiction is not helping with my carpal tunnel development, and it sucks, but what can you do besides rest a little bit? I'm wondering if anybody really has any recommendations as far as like stretches to help. I know that you can purchase like a wrist thing, and I'm considering that to wear it like night, but I'm not quite sure. So if anybody has any good recommendations for stretches, I would super appreciate it. So yeah, that's about all I have. I already told you my husband's been sick. It's been snowing. It's a little chilly, but definitely not as cold as Chicago is right now. So that is something to be thankful for. But yeah. Sorry guys, my battery cut out, so I had to put in a new one. This thing just doesn't last as long as I want it to. But anyway, so I did want to touch on, you know, the discussion happening in the fiber arts community right now. It is a difficult discussion, absolutely, but it's one that needed to be had. I've been I've been hesitating to say something because I haven't really known what to say. I agree with the conversation, and I've been introduced to so many great makers and designers because of this, but Brooklyn Boy Knits said it very well. If you don't know what to say, don't say anything, because I don't want to say something and have it hurt someone, And if I ever do, you know, say something that hurts you guys, please let me know so I can fix what's going on. But anyway, it's a tough decision, tough discussion to have. And I'm just sad that it's still a topic of conversation in 2019, quite honestly. And I'm sad that people avoid people because of their skin color. It's ridiculous. I've never been one to do that. It's never been a deciding factor for me whether to talk to somebody or not to talk to somebody. I don't actively avoid people because of it. I don't make purchase decisions because of somebody's skin tone. And I can't, like, I know that there are people who do this, and I don't understand. And, you know, I realize that while I don't do that, I also don't speak up when I see it, and I need to do that too. So, but I commend the people who have been sharing their stories, because how exhausting that must be to explain this to people. Like, this is already exhausting enough to have to live this every day, and it's ridiculous that people live this every day. And it makes me really sad. And this is not something that we can just sweep under the rug. We need to do better. If you took a good, hard, long look in the mirror and you realize that maybe you're somebody who has turned people away because of who they are, or doesn't want to talk to somebody, or make snap judgments, like, wow, I didn't know people of color did this, or people of color did that. People are just people. People are just people. Let them like what they like. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. And them doing or liking certain things doesn't make them any less of who they are. But I do like that because of this talk that we've been having, I've been able to follow so many more makers and new designers and more podcasters. More podcasters have been popping up in my like the home section of YouTube, where it's sort of like a recommended area. And one in particular, sorry, I'm still learning everybody's names. Sorry, I don't want to get her name wrong. She goes by Nadir Atani all over the internet. Kalisha, I'm so sorry if you see this. And she crochets and she knits, and she's amazing at both, and she has the most gorgeous smile. Like, her smile is infectious. Every time she smiles, like, it just makes, like, she as a person makes me happy. You know, but if you haven't followed her yet, go follow her, because she has some amazing makes. And, you know, if you haven't followed Hannah from the Cozy Crochet podcast, like, she describes this very well, and she puts everything I want to say much more eloquently. So, in her most recent podcast, go watch that. But it's not okay to treat people any differently because of who they are. Don't touch people. You can't just touch people. Gigi Makes had mentioned in a video I watched over the past 2 days that I think she was in an airport, and she was wearing something she had made. She had knit it. And this older lady had come up to her, and she goes, she had mentioned that she liked what she was wearing. And she goes, oh, well, thank you, I made it. She goes, you made that? She goes, yes, I made that. She goes, but it's knit. I know, I made it. And I guess the lady had her daughter with there, and her daughter was starting to see the tension, and was trying to diffuse it, and was just saying, like, we like it, thank you, and trying to grab her mother to turn away and go. And Gigi had mentioned that if she hadn't, she probably would have said, I didn't know they knit, as in black people. And again, this goes back to, like, let people like what they like and do what they want to do. Like, somebody may be Hispanic and knits, but they're a knitter nonetheless. Let people like what they like. Let people do what they do. But, sorry, I'm trying to show you some of Kalisha's work. Like, she made the most beautiful socks recently. these aren't her birthday socks. Oh, there's a picture right there. Not a full picture, but she finished them recently, if you want to go see them on her podcast. So there's her birthday socks. And I love me some purple. And I love these socks. And then she also did the Pebbles and Pathways socks. And these are purple again, and they are gorgeous. So, again, if you need to take a long, hard look in the mirror, then do that. Like I said, I haven't been doing well with, speaking up when I see it. I haven't really seen much of it, but to be fair, now I'm kind of questioning, have I just been ignoring it? I don't know. And I'm just going to be, more self-aware. And while it hasn't been a deciding factor whether somebody is of color or not when I purchase a pattern or, buy yarn, which I don't go to many local yarn shops at all. Actually, I've been to a local yarn shop once, and I haven't been back since, and that was years ago. But that doesn't mean that I can't seek out these makers. I know that Tony of TL Yarn Crafts, she has amazing patterns. And she does Tunisian crochet, and she has a gingham baby blanket here on YouTube, and it's gorgeous, and it's a free pattern. And her summertime tee is something that I've really been wanting to make, but I need to lose a few more pounds before I think I can make the largest size, because not many designers, I feel, really include larger size women. So I'm going to try and just do that, maybe see if I can do some math and make that larger. But, we need to just take this and move forward and make it into something positive. Be more inclusive. Start to speak out when you see things, and just don't be an asshole. And don't tell people that their experiences aren't valid. People living this each day don't get to run away from this, so you don't run away from it. Just because you think, oh, I can turn my head, it's not my problem, it's everybody's problem. This is something going on all across this country, in the United States where we live, and I'm not quite sure about other countries. I'm sure they have their own problems with racism in whatever, way that goes. But this is ridiculous. We can't keep doing this. Everybody is a person deserving of love and happiness, and to just be, a genuine person. They don't need to be made to feel less than. The only experiences I've really had with feeling less than are because of my weight, and that's exhausting sometimes, thinking, when I get on a plane, looking to see who looks open to me sitting near them. Because I can see on people's faces when I walk on, like, dear God, please don't sit by me. And I try not to, or I try to nab a window seat so I can move my chunky butt over and, nobody touches my little, side lumps, okay? And I know that one time in high school, this guy had taken a picture of me. I was sitting on one of those science bar stools, and to be fair, the pants I was wearing were a little tight. I shouldn't probably have worn those that day. But he took a picture, and he posted it to his Facebook as his profile picture, and he tagged me, and there were so many comments within minutes of people saying, oh my God, that's disgusting. What is that? So on and so forth. And they laughed. And he wouldn't take it down. I had gone to the school counselor, and this was kind of like when online bullying became a thing, and they weren't really sure how to handle it, so they said, you know what, not my problem. Handle it yourselves. And it didn't get handled, so that was my sophomore year, and it wasn't until my senior year when some more popular people decided that I was an okay person to talk to, even though I'm fat, and she got him to take it down. By she, it was this girl. And I I thank her for that, because there was no other way that was getting taken down. And then the guy had reached out to me and said, you know, this wasn't meant to be a ridiculing thing. And I was like, great, then why didn't you take it down originally? And the dude blocked me, whatever. And then he came back like a year or so later on a dating site. And he messaged me, he goes, we went to high school together, right? And I said, yeah, we did. And long story short, he was still an asshole. Sorry if you don't like cussing, but man. He had mentioned, well, you have really nice lips, and I knew right where that was going. And that's where it went. So I blocked him that time. But you know, just because somebody has a certain skin color or somebody's fat doesn't mean that they're any less of a person. And those experiences are exhausting, to be told that you're less than just because of who you are. Even though if you looked a certain way, people would be more accepting of you, even though it doesn't change who you are, like, as a person, but that would change really kind of your identity. Like, there's nothing wrong with being black, there's nothing wrong with being white, there's nothing wrong with anything like that, there's nothing wrong with any of it, you guys. And you know, if you think that you don't have these prejudices against people, my thought to you is, imagine you're sitting on a plane. I think I'm stealing this from Gigi. Imagine you're sitting on a plane, and those people walking down the aisle, right? And you immediately think, oh God, don't sit next to me, or, yeah, I'd like to sit next to you, and it's going to be a packed flight, you know there's going to be no room. Why do you automatically make those snap judgments? And what can you do to not do that? What can you do to be a better person? I'm going to be being more self-aware of what's going on around me and speaking up when I see it. And I'm going to be actively searching for other makers. I'm not just going to be complacent with whatever Ravelry tells me, which there's nothing wrong with Ravelry, and they're making their own steps too. But you know, I need to search these people out too, not just let it go by. So again, if I've said something wrong in this, I told you I'm not very good with words, let me know. But that's all I've got for today, you guys. I appreciate you spending some time with me. If you didn't make it this far, then that's okay, I guess. You do you. But I would hope that those people look in themselves a little bit more. If you did stick with me, thank you very much. And I hope you decide to come back again and spend some crafty time with me. I am going to try and get a video up once every 2 weeks. This is a little late just because this week has been really hectic for me. But I would like to upload every 2 weeks on a Monday. So, anyway, be kind, you guys, and have a good day.